So much for being with us today. First of all, and the job you do is not an easy job. Ann Drake McMullen is my name. I'd like to ask you something you've not touched on. You touched on how do we protect our officers, but I guess I'd ask you, what have you done to help reduce crime? I mean, what have you done to keep people from shooting at our officers? What have you done to address the underlying causes rather than worrying about so much of this? Have you done that?
Well, I think it'll take me 40 minutes to get into that part of it, so I was trying to get to the focus, but that's a good question. Crime in the city of St. Pete's down about 14% this year over the last year. I didn't bring it up on purpose because people don't care about numbers. I do because that's my life and I have to live it. But if you've been a victim of a crime, you could care less what the crime rate is. One of the things that I was going to touch on that's bothered me the most is the fact that I think kids with guns is becoming increasingly prevalent. Their attitudes about life in general and the human life is very bothersome. I've seen more violence. We've had 13 homicides this year. We only had 13 all of last year. So crime is down. Homicides and some of the violence that I've seen is very bothersome to me. One of the things Bob and I have been working on, I'm not going to do the press conference here, I promise, but we've been working to see how we can work jointly and do some things a little bit different. We still have a challenge, and Bernie McCabe will tell you, to get people to come testify, to provide information. Some of that doesn't go away. We're going to try to increase visibility. We're going to try to increase intelligence. Somebody asked, well, what kind of policing do you do? Community policing, problem-solving policing, intelligence policing? Yeah, we do all that. You know, so you try to do it. Some of these units that we created, the CODA unit, which kind of monitors our most violent offenders, has done a great job of reducing crime, I think. Street crimes are out there still dealing with street-level drug enforcement. So some of those things we continue to do has brought those numbers down in a good way. But I think with the budgets that we've got, other things that are going on, we're going to have to look at combining resources and doing things more efficiently. I'm not going to be able to hire more cops to control crime. And I think Bob or any other law enforcement agency will tell you the prospect of hiring more or getting more resources right now is probably not. So we're going to have to work that really smart. Jim.
Jim Gillespie. Retired Judge Irene Sullivan wrote a book, and she focused on the problems of young black males that came before her again, and again. She identified some programs that helped them, but she found attitude problems, repetition, and she went so far as to talk about the south part of the county. You probably read her book. What has the police force been able to do in terms of its relationship to the African American community and the opportunities for kids that is ongoing that you think affects a more positive relationship between the police and certain young African American males?
The issue she describes is a real one, but I think it's a lot broader than just the police. I think it's economics, I think it's education, I think there's a lot of issues that contribute to some of the dynamics that she spoke of in her book. There is some alternatives to incarceration. I will tell you we're not going to incarcerate our way out of any situations or issues that we face down the road, because putting people in prison and locking them up is a very expensive proposition for communities to do. So I think we're going to have to do something different than we've been doing. The problem is the funding for DJJ, other resource providers, continually gets cut at the state level. So we do a very good job of identifying kids. I think we had a young female on Shore Acres the other night that got popped. She's 15 years old, going over for a sleepover, and she was going through cars out on Shore Acres. She probably committed 6 or 7 crimes. Okay, 15-year-old, and the consequences for that 15-year-old are not going to be very much. Okay, until Judge Sullivan or her namesake, whoever's in that seat now, sees her over and over and over again. So as far as I'm concerned, the juvenile justice system is broke. It remains broke. We need to do something different than we have been. I don't have the answer, but we need to do a better job there. And it starts with providing proper funding to get it done. Rob. Usually good for a good question. 7 or 9 about it, so here we go.
I heard your voice at will when you said my name. Robert Eschenfelder. I have hopefully easy questions for you. As you know, a lot of folks care about your opinion because you're the top law enforcement officer of the fourth largest city in the state, and that city is in Pinellas County. And Pinellas County is going to be needing a sheriff real soon. And you got two folks, the former sheriff and the current chief deputy running. And the current chief deputy has been endorsed by a lot of people, including your boss. I know that you'll work with either one of them and you wish them both well, but in your heart of hearts, who do you think is the best sheriff for Pinellas County?
I will tell you that they're both fine to me, and I will work with whoever gets elected. You know, the one thing about our country is I can go in that voting booth and I can put whoever I think is going to be the best sheriff on my ballot and leave it at that. But that's an impossible question for me to answer because I've worked with both of them. I will tell you, Bob and I have had a great relationship. He's sitting in the audience. We're doing some things together. I would say for the first time in probably years, we've enjoyed a better relationship with our sheriff's office than we've had in the past. The communication is better. The willingness to share resources is better. Whether ever will continue that, I don't know. But I will tell you, Bob has made an effort to do that. And I appreciate his outreach. Somebody told me about Lewis Park last night. And, you know, some of the things that we've been doing with our ordinances and working with State Harbor and other places have been joint efforts. And I think that you will agree that the city looks a little bit different. And it's my hope and optimism that we won't have to make a single charge on an ordinance violation to change the dynamics of homelessness in our city. No one thinks it's right for somebody to be sleeping on the street. That's just not right. And so I appreciate Bob, willing to go forward. And if he's progressive like that now, I would assume that he's going to continue that effort as sheriff if he gets elected. Everett and I talked very briefly. I don't know what his long-range plans are, but he was a good sheriff, and I enjoyed working with him too. Barbara.
I'm actually a member, I just couldn't find my badge. Barbara Heck, first of all, thank you and thank all the officers for putting on your uniform every morning, coming to work, and putting your lives on the line in some cases to keep us safe. My question is, because I know we're asking a lot of things of the police department, please tell us from your perspective the types of things that residents and neighborhood associations can do to assist the police department over the year.
I would say get involved. I haven't much. If anybody's ever been to the mayor's night out, sometimes I scratch my head and I love my boss. And I have kind of a mini mayor's night out. We would call them sector meetings in the deal. And we would bring more. The mayor's night out it's a bunch of administrators and brass, if you want to call it. We don't do the work. We get to delegate it to somebody who really does the work and such that. But in our sector meetings, we really try to put people that were there that actually do the work and can answer questions and do all that. I have the hardest time even today getting people to show up and get engaged. That is a tremendous thing. When something's going bad, people will get involved. When something's not so bad, they won't. And I know that some of you sit on boards and commissions and other things, trying to get people to give up some of their time to come out and work on a neighborhood issue, a neighborhood problem. Crime watches, we're losing some of them because there's just the membership's not there to keep them alive. And yeah, like I said, crime is going down. But I don't know the answer to that question. So if somebody here has a way for the community to kind of re-engage its government in a sense of either volunteerism or show up when we offer that service and tell us what your issues and problems are. Because I think we have a lot of resources that we could use to help you in your quality of life that we just aren't using. Trying to be on the right. Yes.
Donna Blozovic, St. Petersburg. Up on Gandy Boulevard, almost every weekend it seems like there are up to as many as 80 cars racing. They start at the racetrack gas station and they go both ways. But there seems to be a question of who has the jurisdiction in that area, whether it's the Sheriff's Department or the St. Petersburg Police Department. So how is it decided who's going to address the question at the time that the question needs to be addressed?
Actually, we've been battling that problem for a little while. Gandy is not the only area. They've done it in other areas of the county, some in the county jurisdiction, some in ours. And as far as I know, we have worked joint operations with the sheriff and Florida Highway Patrol to address some of those speeders. Actually, one night, it's illegal to watch those kind of exhibitions, and we basically ticketed everybody that was there. You know, come through the little checkpoint and do whatever. But sometimes, you know what's really changed in the last 30 years, I'll tell you more than anything else? If there's a house party or something like that going on, the way kids communicate today with Twitter, with instant messaging, I don't know how it's done. But one of our shootings, officer-involved shootings, it's supposed to be a party for like 50 kids. Well, there were hundreds of kids there. Somebody would send a little text message and boom, it went. And so we're not on the same communication network those 100, 200, 300 people are. And they will send out a little message, boom, meet us here. And they're all got the same message at the same time and they're showing up. So like I said, whether it's a house party, whether it's an event like that, that's something we're still trying to struggle with. But we do enforce what we can. We've actually shut portions of 4th Street down from the interstate down to, I think it's about 116th Avenue. And then basically, one at a time, call them through, here's your ticket, here's your ticket, here's your ticket. But an officer must witness some of the driving to do it, which makes it a little more difficult. Ms. Brown. Mine does that too.
That's really bad today. Chief, as you know, I've been always one of the supporters.
Name?
Oh, I'm Terry Bryant. And one of my concerns is that I understand that there might be a substation being proposed for downtown. And I think in terms of 16th Street, where this young man, Lindsay, came out of the area. And why not put a substation on 16th Street, you know, in the area, so that it makes your police officer more visible. I see more cops cars parked in houses in people's residence, but not patrolling areas that we know are high crime areas, which I think will help deter some of the crime that is going on. The question was, as opposed to proposing substations in downtown area, proposing more out in the community where you know that there are areas that are heavily already crime or proposed crime.
Yeah. You know, I've had several questions about substations. I will tell you another aspect of the job that's changed over the years is the fact that an officer can do 99.9% of their work right from the car. You got a computer, you write your reports, you make your calls, you do whatever. There's not as much need for a land-based as there used to be to write reports and do those sort of things. And one time in our city, we had like 30 little, what I call them office spaces that were donated. And we started getting rid of those because people would donate space and we wouldn't show up. Okay? And so unless we as a city are willing to staff a substation by adding personnel to be there and monitor that station, I don't think it makes sense for us to do that. If one goes in downtown, we've already talked to either, I think it was the Business Association, whatever, about staffing that. When we had Baywalk, and Baywalk was up, and it was an issue, one of the issues that was identified was having a substation in that area. And my thing was, we don't need to staff with officers. They've got security, they can find some volunteers, like we do at our resource centers and staffing. So visibility is an issue. We're working on increasing that visibility. Some of the things that the Chief Deputy and I are going to work on, I think there'll be more visibility. This summer, we've had all school resource officers out. Our marching orders to them was get out and be seen. So all the kids are out, and who better to watch those kids than people who see them every during the year. So we're still working to do that. You just slow down.
Jack Thompson, you asked part of your speech about how we talk about vests inside or outside. Me, for one, I really don't care. I think you need to be protected as best you can protect your officers, and you as a person need to be protected. The question I have is that vest that Melanie had on anatomically correct? I mean, Does it make a difference whether it's male or female wear?
Yes, actually, the shirts make a difference. So they do come in different various sizes and things. Believe me, I'm not the smallest guy in the department either. I might look like, there's some people out there that are bigger than me. You have to when officers order a vest, they order what they call a carrier. There's actually plates or panels that go inside these vests, and they're custom fit for each officer. And what an officer would do with that vest is basically be able to slip those things. You can't take them out of that vest because they would void the warranty, but you can take them in that vest and slide that whole vest into that vest carrier, which is what it would be. And we authorize each officer $600 every 3 years to buy a vest. They purchase their own kind, they can go out and get whatever they want. I don't issue them, so if they want more protection or less protection, there's some standards they have to meet, but they go as far as they want. But Melanie's anatomically correct, but the vest is not.
Chief, recently was at Dave recently I was overseas in a couple of heavily congested cities, and I saw a lot of these CCTV cameras, surveillance cameras around. And I understand they're very successful in combating street crime. Would you be in favor of installing them in downtown St. Petersburg? And if not, why not?
That gives me to the red light camera question, I will tell you that. That's really Big Brother. If anybody in this room thinks that if they walk about 2 blocks down this road, either getting First Avenue, Beach Drive, whatever, and aren't on camera, forget it. You've probably been picked up by 6 or 7. And so I would tell you right now that there's enough private cameras out there that downtown is covered. And we frequently go and pick up videos from them and investigating our crimes and stuff. The problem with that type of setup is it would have to require a monitoring station, somebody would have to sit there and monitor those cameras. The city right now, and I'm not going to go into specifics where they are because some of it's a security issue, probably has 800 or 900 of those cameras already. And as you can imagine, some are at the port, some are other places where they would be. And each department has kind of historically been charged with monitoring those type of cameras and setups. Our rec centers have some video recorded type cameras, not necessarily monitored live, but they can be monitored live. The mayor and I and Tish and others have been talking about at some point does it make more sense to centralize all that, and have 1 or 2 or 3 people be able to watch all these cameras, free up the staff time, because the problem is the person that's watching them at Water Resources, that's not a full-time job for them. They're doing other work and then all of a sudden watching this. So at some point there's going to be an opportunity, I think, for us to have some kind of broader central monitoring. That may be more of a political question than a safety question. I think obviously from a safety perspective, does it make a difference if you know you're on camera? Probably. But we don't advertise it a whole lot downtown even though that's already there. So yes, I would be in favor of it if it's done right.
This will be the final question, please.
Emily Ward. Thank you so much for coming here today, and all the officers and yourself, myself, and I every day. My question has to do with, I have a very close friend that, whose grandfather is a former, I have a very close friend whose grandfather is a former chief of police of the city of Atlanta. And I've had the opportunity to sit down and have pancakes that I have with him a few times. And hear stories of when he was chief back in the 70s. And I heard from him that it was one of the most corrupt and racist organizations he's ever been a part of. Is that still a problem in the city of St. Pete's here today? And if so, what kind of measures do you have in place to help information profiles and things like that?
Okay, I will tell you, this is Chuck Harmon's opinion. We don't have that issue. I'm glad to report. In my 30 years as being part of this police department, we have had individuals who've gone out and done certain, whether it be unlawful, unethical things, but we have never had any what I would describe as institutional corruption. You don't have any vice sheets going bad. We've never had, I can recall anything that was out there where the management of the police department at any time in my career, and I've been through there 7 or 8 chiefs, I think, has ever allowed anything like that to happen. Nor would I think this administration certainly not allow that to happen. But as it relates to our race relations, I think they're probably the best that we've had in the last 30 years. And I think we've concentrated on trying to make that outreach and that effort to be engaging, to include a diversity in our ranks. And there's a lot of reasons that I think we've been successful in that. We can always improve and do better, but we do not have any problems at the Atlanta, at least in the 70s, at the Atlanta